What is good, YouTube? Welcome back into another episode of Offensively Accurate. We're on number 25. Right now, what it's looking like is I'll be able to get a consistent schedule in, being Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to aim to do it around anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7 p.m. That's what works best for me. So hopefully this still stay consistent, but that's the plan for right now. Very few things to go over, but still going to have about, 2 hours worth of information and stuff to go through. Three main things though, right? So Sneako and Pearl got on a stream together. I believe Pearl went on Sneako's stream and they had about an hour-long discussion, which I've not seen at all yet. I just saw a clip that was posted by Pearl on X and it seemed like they were disagreeing, so I figured possibly they got into a debate. So we'll listen to that. I have it pulled up on Sneako's stream. The second thing, which you'll see in the title, which is, my friend made it, right? He made it big. One of my friends, really good friends, who I went to college with, his name's Tyler. I'm not gonna dox him or anything. Alias is Ty Teaches Tech. He was on LA CBS or CBS LA, however you say that, KLCA, some random thing like that. But he's in like a 5-minute segment, so we're gonna react to that live. This is one of my, closer friends, somebody who I've done, countless things with, legal and illegal. Really good guy. And he's made a platform for himself where essentially he does a bunch of like camera tips and tricks. He's really, really, really intuitive and ingenious when it comes to using the iPhone and making video content and stuff. He also went to school for data analytics as well. So it's a really intelligent guy. We'll get into that. But the first thing we will do before we get into either of those things is I have an update, because what in the world, who you probably seen in the chat here in the last couple of streams I've did, we will be doing a collab possibly this Saturday. Not sure how it's going to look exactly, because as I was thinking before while we were messaging back and forth, I forgot that Twitter Spaces still doesn't have a desktop UI. So we might just do it live from his platform. He's going to host it. He's got the bigger platform than me. He's got thousands of more subscribers than I do. I'm the tiny guy here. So we'll do it from there. I messaged him on a couple different ideas. So we got a good bit of content coming your way. The other thing too is, there will become an upcoming episode with River, who I had done the original EMS episode with Donnie, where we talked about, police enforcement as well as the culture when it comes to like the battle of the genders and having women in the police force, etc., etc. So there's a lot going on right now. So content's full speed ahead. I'm trying to boast about 10 to 20 shorts a week. That's one thing I actually kind of like dropped off. I was only doing long form, but it seems like the way that YouTube has it kind of now is that this stuff is all going to be, I guess what's the best way to say it? The short form stuff is going to be prioritized over long form content. So I got to make sure I'm doing both and staying balanced. I can't just stick to one long form. So I imagine I'm going to see a hit in numbers, especially when it comes to view count and different things like that, especially because if I radically increase how much I am posting and I'm not getting nearly as much of an engagement, it's obviously going to throttle my account a little bit. But I did plan on upping the content, and so be it, right? You gotta find a strategy that works, and so that'll be mine for now. So moving on from here, those are all the announcements. Subscribe on YouTube, follow me on X, follow on Spotify, share the show, follow me on TikTok as well, Instagram if you want to. You don't really have to. I only really post there from Facebook, with the paired. Those things are tied together. So let's get into it, right? So the first thing is, and also I got my Stream Deck too. Well, not my Stream Deck, but I got my tablet back working, and it's actually a beautiful thing because it makes it a lot easier than having to constantly mess with the OBS studio on the far side of my studio. So one of the first things we're going to do here, we're going to go to, and you'll see it again. This is What in the World. This is the guy who we're going to be. I'm going to be collabing with for what may possibly be maybe just a few videos we put together, or maybe possibly we work towards a weekly show, which we had talked about that, which I'm more than willing to do, especially if if he's hosting, and he starts doing a live stream and I'm like a regular guest on his, however that kind of ends up being, I'm all game for it, because don't panic, organize. And so one of the first things I did want to do is I was curious about the this new Fannie Willis information about this disciplinary board that he posted a video about from yesterday. So we're going to take a listen to this first before we go do any of the other stuff. Of course. And I always hate the way that the ads are just always super loud. Always have to be like the loudest volume possible. Okay, so let's get this started here. Make sure the volume is okay. If anyone is in chat, I'll say this multiple times because we'll be watching a lot of content. Put a 1 in the chat if the volume is too low. Put a 2 in the chat if the volume is too high, and then put a 3 if it's okay. So anybody who's listening in, one for too low, 2 for too high, and 3 it's all right. Let's go ahead and get this watching, get this started. And actually, I think I might do the low style for this one. I think that might be the best way to put this at. Okay, let's go ahead.
Decided in Georgia that they would like to come over after me. They use false reasons for wanting to come after me. I don't know if you remember, and I believe we talked about it last time. Georgia had never had a prosecutorial oversight committee, and all of a sudden, 14 minorities were elected to office to serve as district attorney. And now all of a sudden they need an oversight committee to look after district attorneys because they want to tell us how to prosecute and who to prosecute and where we should put our resources.
Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So Fani Willis suggests creation of Georgia prosecutorial oversight panel is racially motivated. So she's back to her race bullcrap diversion. She'll never just take accountability for her actions. You know, all she had to do was just keep it in her pants or not hire Nathan Wade and she would have been fine. But instead...
I'm going to be honest. The Fani Willis stuff was so egregiously excessive, like just nonsense, that I began to be like, I don't even care about this. I was following it along, and even Donnie back when he was on the show, this was like a couple weeks ago, and even Donnie was like, "Please don't make me talk about Fani Willis, dude." He's like, I've seen too much of this woman already. Like, please don't do it because it's just a facade, right? It's like it's so performative, and everyone who's even halfway in the know is just like, "Are you serious? Is this case still going on? Is she still talking?" I don't understand how she's not in jail for all of the stuff that she did financially with the allocation of funds and abusing her position of power, but I digress.
She hired Nathan Wade. They were lovers. And then she went on a bunch of trips and did a bunch of shady stuff and claimed that she paid him back with cash. This is a result and consequences of her own actions. I hate how the left has no accountability for the crap that they do. And it takes a real dirtbag like her to even bring charges in this case like she has. The Trump RICO case in Georgia is nothing but a witch hunt trial. But the embattled Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis suggested on Monday that the creation of the prosecutorial oversight panel in Georgia is racially motivated. Of course, right? Georgia had never had the prosecutorial oversight committee, Willis told MSNBC host Rachel Madcow when asked about the state.
Did you say Rachel Madcow? That's solid. If she was a bit bigger, that'd be a better diss, to be honest.
It's in its special committee investigation. All of a sudden, 14 minorities were elected to office to serve as district attorneys, she continued. Now, all of a sudden, they need an oversight committee to look after district attorneys because they want to tell us how to prosecute and who to prosecute and where we should put our resources, as opposed to allowing voters that put us in the seats to make these determinations. You're obviously doing the federal government's bidding as you attack Joe Biden's main opponent in the 2024 election. The judge already threw out the phone call, the infamous phone call that this whole story revolved around, said that Trump did nothing on that perfect phone call. So the case is already gone. Fani Willis has completely lost sight and does not have any clue that the only reason that she was put in this position was because she's dumb enough to actually take the case and go after Trump. They're going to throw her away.
Well, it's not that she was dumb. See, the thing is, well, she's retarded, forgive me. The thing is this is like, for all these people, right, all these DAs, this is like their nice shining moment, right? Like this is the time they can get their name out there, like, oh, I'm going after Trump, right? It's like their way of like moving up the ladder, right? It's very similar to like politically when people come out and make these ridiculous, egregious statements, and it's just to like say something so shocking that now you're name brand, right? Maybe not like, I mean, at this point, I think Fani Willis is making herself a household name, maybe possibly for all the wrong reasons, but I guess in this day and age, it doesn't really matter anymore, because I guess for most of these people who do awful things, any PR is good PR, especially when you're going to have all of these institutions behind you being like, oh, Fanny this, oh, Fanny that, right? The same story.
As soon as this is done, win or lose. They have no use for her after that. That's how this works. But the new disciplinary board approved by the GOP-controlled state legislature earlier this year and signed into law by Republican Governor Brian Kemp in March will have the power to discipline and remove prosecutors from cases in Georgia found to have engaged in misconduct. There's nothing wrong with that. If you bring a case and you engage in misconduct, there should be some type of oversight to get you removed. People that are engaged in misconduct should not be allowed to prosecute and hold other people to the fire where they can get thrown in jail and fined and all this stuff. I mean, what kind of crazy world do they think America is? Willis, who was under investigation by the Georgia State Senate over use of taxpayer money during a relationship with former special prosecutor Nathan Wade, could come under scrutiny from the new body over the same allegations and under aspects of her handling of the prosecution of former President Donald Trump. Oh yeah, so that's...
And right there, it's like, so she's under investigation while she's also like, while they're leading all these cases. It's just it's so dumb. It's so ridiculous, right? But it's that the kangaroo court stuff. I mean, I think we've moved well past like logic and reason as the appeals. And like now we're just in like logic means nothing because, right, you have logos, pathos, and ethos. And now it's like logos means nothing. And the majority of people use pathos and then the government uses the ethos. Right. So like logos is the argument form of using logic. Pathos is the argument form that appeals to emotion. And then ethos is the argument form that appeals to like authority, like because I am the authority, you should listen, behave well. Right. And most of any arguments at all really are because so many people are liberal, default liberals. And then the rest of them, not the rest of them, some people are default liberals like normies. But then those who are even to the left of that are progressive and egalitarians who do all have a bit of, for, you know, again, the tenet of care and fairness. And here we are, right? Taxpayer dollars, same stuff, a different day.
The other thing, she also misspent like $500,000 that was allocated for one specific use that she didn't use it for, essentially.
I believe I'm correct on this, that the district attorney has sole discretion under very narrow...
Here, let's just look into that real quick. Senator Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson are investigating whether Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis misused federal funds. The two Republican senators highlighted multiple reports accusing Willis's office of squandering funds, including from the Department of Justice of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention and other initiatives on frivolous items such as swag and unrelated travel. In fiscal year 2020, the OJ...
To be honest, I barely hear that word used anymore. Like when I was growing up around like 2013, 2014, around when I was graduating high school, that was like the word of the day. From like 2010 to 2014, everybody used that word. Now, never hear it. Pretty sure like drip and aura have replaced swag. But it just shows like, again, boomers doing boomer things, man.
JJDP awarded Fulton County nearly $500,000 to establish the Fulton County Center of Youth Empowerment and Gang Prevention, Grassley and Johnson wrote in a letter to Willis on Wednesday. The center has yet to open, and the building meant to house this is closed to the public, and its gates are padlocked. So they cited the reporting from Washington Free Beacon reporting on Willis, a Democrat firing Amanda Timpson, previously the head of gang prevention and intervention at the DA's office. She was the one who sounded the alarm about the potential misuse of the OJDP funds. And I actually covered that in a video a while back, so I'm not going to get into it any further because I want to finish up my main topic here. So back to the original article. They use false reasons for wanting to come after me, the district attorney said Monday. No, it's not false reasons. Everybody out here wants accountability to the people that are in your position. You can't just run amok and throw people in jail and misspend $500,000 and then go after the former president who is the current front runner after you have a secret meeting with your lover Nathan Wade in the White House. People...
But you can if you're black and a woman. You saw that tweet from NAACP. Next time you think about trying a black woman, don't. It's so dumb, dude.
Want to know, did you get those orders from Joe Biden? But another quote, what is so ironic is, although it's only 14 of the 50 DAs in the state of Georgia, most of the citizens report to our jurisdictions. So although we're smaller in number than the other 36, most of the population has elected these minority DAs to serve them and has trusted their judgment, Willis argued. But apparently, we now need Daddy to tell us how to do our job. Yes, you need Daddy to tell you how to do your job, Fani Willis, because you do a terrible job, you're corrupt, and there's nothing about you that sends any opposing message to the people. Just because you go to church and declare things doesn't mean that you're really empowered by God, okay? This is insane. Her mentality is way off base. But Willis, 52, also rallied against House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, who subpoenaed the DA back in February over allegations she mishandling federal funds. Jim Jordan
is a lot of things, but he's definitely not someone who's over here just doing random things. And I have a little bit of difference with Jim Jordan, especially because I'm Ohio born, right? But to sit here and be like, and to give like the low grade, he must be racist accusations, it's just so like, aren't we all like tired of this? I'm tired of it, dude. It's so abused, right? But even saying that the term is overused, that is becoming to be overused. So at a certain point, like someone's just going to snap and be like, so what if I am, dude? You still did these things, right? Like, I don't know, man.
We have a quote from her. Jim Jordan has time after time attacked my office with no legitimate purpose. Well, I think the legitimate purpose is the writing on the wall. $500,000 missing. She claimed anyone that knows Jim Jordan's history also knows he has a purpose of trying to interfere with criminal investigations. It's disgusting, Willis said of the congressional probe. Now at this state level, they've decided to follow this clown's lead. Jim Jordan is a leader that has higher authority than you do. And you acted like you weren't going to do anything. You have not responded to the subpoena, and you have not, from what I understand, she has not done any of the things that Jim Jordan requested of her back in that subpoena. She basically just said, I didn't do.
And that's the thing, right? Like, and then what's going to happen? Like, how long is she going to be able to wait away and not capitulate to the subpoena? And this is why I said in the beginning, I was like, dude, like I can't even make myself care about the Fani Willis stuff because it's so clearly a big facade, dude. It's like, what would anyone even care about this, dude? Just get her out of the court seat or whatever position she's in and just move on. Just move on from this.
Do anything wrong, and I'm not going to cooperate. Wouldn't that be nice, right? You can just go do whatever you want, and whenever they subpoena you, you're like, nah, I wasn't wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. And then just ignore it. Try doing that with a simple parking ticket, or, okay, maybe not a parking ticket, but try doing that with a ticket for not having your dog licensed, and you'll end up with a warrant for your arrest. So good luck with that. The Georgia State Special Senate Investigation Panel held its third public meeting related to the Willis probe earlier this month, which delved into the amount of money the DA's office has spent prosecuting the historic racketeering case against Trump and his co-defendants, and the lack of oversight other government entities have over the district attorney's office. Willis has vowed not to appear before the panel, questioning state lawmakers' authority to issue her a subpoena. Like I said, she's not going to show up. She's just going to do whatever she wants because she...
Also, let me say this again, too. For anybody who's in the chat, if any of the desktop audio coming from the video is, like, not loud enough, like, say something to me. Whether it's too loud or too quiet or it's just okay, just let me know. But again, this will be my overarching argument. Like, why are we even letting women be judges? Like, we're so, like, come on, dude. Like if anything, the writing's on the wall on this. Like, dude, the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, the AOC thing, Fani Willis, Ilhan Omar, like you could just keep going, bang, 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 bang. Like, just stop. Every single one of them is almost worthless, and all they do is drive attention to themselves over personal issues. It's so ridiculous, dude. It's so bogus. And then taxpayers always have to sit here and suffer for it. Oh, man.
She thinks that she is the power. She doesn't realize that she is just a convenient puppet that is being used by the Biden and DOJ to go after Biden's rival, who ultimately had a better economy during his 4 years of presidency than Biden has. I mean, it's simple. At this point, all you got to do is look at the 4 years versus the 4 years. You got to kind of subtract 2020 because of COVID, and everybody understands that. And if you don't, you're just a brainwashed moron. But it's pretty plain and simple. Both of these candidates have a 4-year track record. Trump's America was much, much better than Biden's. Just go to the grocery store. Just go fill up your car with gas. Get a quote for your car insurance. Check out your mortgage statement and look at how much extra escrow you got to pay. And if you're like me, you got a little bill at the end of last year that said that your escrow account was too low and your payment had to go up. And mine went up almost 10% because house insurance, homeowner's insurance. So instead of being able to pay that extra $100 a month toward the principal to get me out of this lifelong debt, it just goes towards insurance. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up.
So again, this is What in the World? This is somebody who I'm talking to right now to end up doing a collab here in the, possibly this Saturday, maybe even later than that. Who knows? We'll find out. He's busy. We got to get on a call to get the live stream set up first. I might even switch platforms and move off of Discord to get something a bit cleaner. But again, support this guy. I will actually link his page. I'll put that in the chat actually. So make sure you go over there, like that video, subscribe to this guy. He is how do I do this again? There we go. Yeah. Got way more views than me, man. But he's doing that. He's doing some work. So go out and support that brother. And then after this, let me put this in the chat first. But again, any volume issues, let me know. Just one way or the other. So that is his page. I'll put that in the chat for anybody who is interested in that. Okay. So, moving off of What in the World. Also, I like his look too. His looks pretty good. Okay, so we're not going to go to Sneako just yet. We're going to go to my good friend Making It. And again, so this is I had to go and find this. This is from a CBS LA, I believe is what it's called.
But if you
Come on now. So Ty Teaches Tech, right? That's his alias. That's what he goes by. He's got millions of views too on different platforms. I think his biggest one is possibly I think it's Instagram. He does it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and I might be missing one. I think he's on X, but he doesn't use that one nearly as much. It's not a platform that fits him. But he's been making videos for about a year or 2 years now, and he's really been making some progress. But this is like a feel-good story, right? Like a feel-good story of like, this is somebody who up and was like, I don't want to do this job I have here in LA anymore, because this is somebody who was originally like a photographer and camera guy for like really big production stuff in LA. Now, the two ones that I can remember off the top of my head was he did work, I believe it was for either Ben Affleck or Jennifer Lopez, and I could be wrong. He can correct me entirely, but I think he was attached to them. He also did stuff with like the Chainsmokers as well. He did like video production for them too. I think he eventually found himself in a spot where he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not going to make as much money. I can't do anything else besides do these simple things to kind of keep myself afloat here in LA, and I'm not progressing towards the goals that I want to move towards. So he literally was like, F it, I'm going to do it on my own. And power to him, props to him. So we're going to watch this video because I want to react to him on live and see how this was. So I've only seen the first like 20 seconds to see like how he looked on camera, and it made me laugh. It's about 5 minutes long. So we'll go ahead and watch this. All right. Let's switch it over here. I have to make it past this ad first. I'm going to have to get the YouTube ad or whatever, just so I can like stop looking at all these ads all the time. Okay. And again, for anybody who's in the chat, let me know if the volume's not okay.
Let's get things started because technology, it's changing really fast. So it's easy to feel a little lost. I
have to stop right here. He's so uncomfortable. But I can't lie, I would be too on my very first TV appearance. But just to see the 18 different muscle movements in the face right off the rip, power to you, brother. Congratulations. I would be doing the same thing, if not worse, right? Maybe I'd be sweating at this point, but watch.
Included in that. That's why we have invited our friend Tyler Polking, who goes by the name Ty Teaches Tech, to give us a few pointers. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This is an honor. I appreciate it.
We're so excited because I mentioned before when we were doing the little teaser is that you showed me something that I did not even know. So we're going to get things started. We want to start off with the first trick. You call this one the quick draw.
Yes, quick draw. Trying to get as fast of moments as we can. So, you know, cute things happen all the time, and we want to make sure that we capture them.
I don't know. I feel like I'd be doing this too. They probably gave him like all these cues of like which camera he should be looking at. Who knows whose fault it is, but like I know. I'm not trying to make fun of them. But again, props. Like this could be you, man. If you follow your dreams and you decide that what you value is more worth it or what you want to do is more worth it, go for it. Don't let anything stop you. No, you're never going to be able to make, you know, hundreds of thousands or whatever, or do the things that you want to do and follow your passions and dreams if you don't take risks, man. It was a risk for him, right? Like he had all these good positions. He was probably making really good money and making all these really good connections. So it was a risk. He had to drop all of that, right? Like how many people do you know get a chance to work with the Chainsmokers? It's about valuing yourself over the fear, right? It's having more belief in yourself than having more fear of the risk of what may possibly happen. It's powerful stuff.
Fast, so let's go to it.
Oh, do we have a video?
First, let's open the camera as fast as possible by simply swiping left on the lock screen. Now, you'll see at the bottom the camera opens in photo mode by default, but what if we want to take a video instead? Well, we could switch to video mode, but if you need to be really fast, just press and hold the shutter button and a video will start recording. If we release our finger, the video will stop recording.
Yeah, so
Okay,
this is
first I
great.
really like that you have this little cat
Another
as
thing
your
we can do
subject.
here too, if you look, we can tap and hold just like before, but if we slide our finger to the right, there's that little lock icon. We'll be able to slide it.
Wait, I'm confused. Are they like talking over each other? Did Tyler just like straight mansplain this woman?
If you need to be really fast, just press and hold the shutter
What does she
button and a
say?
video will start recording. If we release our finger, the video will stop recording.
Yeah, so
Okay,
this is
first I
great.
really like that you have this little cat
Another
as
thing
your
we can do
subject.
here too, if you look, we can tap and hold just
Dude, he just kept going. Silence for a minute, I'm speaking.
like before, but if we slide our finger to the right, there's that little lock icon. We'll be able to slide it and then we can let go of our finger so we can very quickly get a video straight from photo mode, which is amazing. And not only that, but if you notice that button at the bottom right, I'm tapping on it right there, we'll be able to tap that to take a photo while we're taking a video. So we're able to take photos and videos at the same time.
This is, wait, I'm
I guarantee you, anybody who's watching this or will watch this, if you go to his page, every single one will be something that you have no idea you could have done with your phone. That's essentially been my experience watching his videos. Like some things I did know, like this, you can hold your space bar on the phone to move your thing around. Dude, everything else, I'm like, bro, what? But you know, but he's what's that called? He's like efficiency maxing, dude. This guy probably like taps his phone one time and it does 19 different things because like that's what he does. But that's him using like AI and this technology to his advantage. I mean, things that you could be doing, I could be doing, right?
trying it right now.
Yes.
Okay, bam, I'm recording. And I didn't, well, because you know, sometimes you're at home with family or maybe your friends have kids or something and there's something that's going on and all of a sudden it's the cutest thing in the world. And then I'm over here like an idiot being like, wait, my thing's not working and I don't have face whatever it's called. What is that called?
Yeah, Face ID. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Face ID.
Yes.
Well, I don't have that either. So I'm one of those and then I forget my password, then it gets locked and then I'm
like,
just, you know, I
next thing
missed
you know,
the
moment's
moment.
gone.
I
Yeah,
know. So thank you for that.
Imagine, like, dude, that's so dumb. Imagine not using Face ID, but you're a reporter on like live television. Like, do you think the government's got to try to understand what your face pattern might look like? I mean, woman, if you're on TV every single day on a public or a local news channel, dude, like just get, it's so dumb to me, right? Like, I don't understand. I don't know what data she's trying to protect, but maybe it's for a different reason and maybe I misunderstand. But to me, that just seems kind of dumb.
Yes, absolutely.
That was great, and you had a lovely subject, a beautiful little kitty.
That's
okay,
my cat, Ronan.
What's the name?
Ronan.
Ronan.
Is my cat,
Shout
yeah.
out to Ronan.
Big
Okay.
boy.
Samurai.
We are moving on to number 2, tip number 2 for the perfect moment.
Yes.
Remember how we tapped the main button and then slid our finger to the right in the first tip? Well, let's tap the shutter again, but very quickly slide our finger to the left instead. This is going to trigger what's called a burst shot. A burst shot is basically a bunch of photos in one. You can see in the middle, it's taking a ton of photos in rapid fire. Now, why might you want to do this? Well, if there's a lot of action going on, say you're at a soccer game or your pet's doing something funny, it's going to be hard to capture that perfect moment with just one photo. Burst shots let us capture all the moments with a lot of photos, giving us the freedom to go back and pick the perfect ones. Let's pull up the burst shot I just took here, and as you can see at the top left, there's over 590 photos to choose from. To filter.
If I did that with my phone, it would just burst into flames. I don't know if anyone else has these issues, but like my phone, if it's on the charger for too long, like starts like burning in my hands. And maybe it's just me because I'm like, I don't update the iOS and like I do my best to keep care of the battery life. But for me, it's like I never have any storage. I would do this and it'd go 1, 2, done. Your storage is full. iCloud has 2, you know, it'd give me that stupid notification. Like I'm not paying for that extra storage, man.
To the best ones, we just have to hit select at the bottom, and from here we can check off our favorites. Once we've finished and have the best one selected, we can hit done at the top and choose to discard the rest.
Okay, that I was doing
sense?
it. I was following along.
Yes.
And you know, we have one of our anchors here who likes taking photos throughout the studio, and this is going to be so helpful because I usually try, and now I can just hold it in place.
Yeah, now you're holding
Just
it
let
up
it go.
rapid fire so you can get the action shots and yeah, get the perfect moment.
This is great. Okay, so you have another tip for us. It's called "Look, Mom, no hand."
How crazy is it that you can do, like, you can make a career off of just understanding how a phone works? I mean, more power to him, right? Like, that's sick. That's sick. I just like, he's essentially just explaining like things that you just do with your phone that people just don't know. But it's a really good market because who doesn't have a phone? And 2, like, how many people are just dumb? So like, what a brilliant model, dude. Like, I'm kind of jealous.
Look, Mom, no hands. This is my favorite. This is my favorite.
Okay.
If you want to be able to take a photo or video using just your voice, all you have to do is turn on voice control. This can be done straight from search, or if you have an older iPhone, you can find it in settings, accessibility, and voice control. Now that it's on, we'll open up the camera, swipe up on the menu bar, and turn on a 3-second timer. I'll get in position, and now every time I say tap take picture, I'll have 3 seconds before my phone takes a picture. You can even say swipe right to switch to video mode and tap record.
Like, look at this dude. Look at this guy. This guy knows the iPhone better than Steve Jobs ever did, dude. Like, go follow this dude, man. I will link his page in the chat right after.
Record video to start a video, and I can do this as many times as I want without having to go back and forth between my phone. All completely hands-free.
Okay. Wait, what?
Yes.
I've never seen that. Okay, so I'm in the, wait, I think I'm in the wrong spot. See, this is how old I am. Like, oh, I'm so confused.
That was a very
okay, so
fast.
voice memos, yeah?
Okay, here,
Am I already?
I can show you if you want.
Yeah. Just like a
Dude,
little.
he's excited. He was like, but maybe it was because he was like, I don't want to explain it to you. Just let me do it. just let me do it. I want to be here for 10 more minutes. Just like, hand me your phone. I'll show you. But he's awesome, man. This is great stuff.
Quick little
Let's show you
redo.
real quick. So hopefully we can get this going really fast here. Voice control. And then let's see if we can go right here into settings. And then, you have to set it up.
You were going to come try to see the, you don't need to see the back of my phone. It's okay. I got to set all this up. But you know what? I'm going to play back this video. And I hope that we put this on our website because this is all really, really helpful.
Yes.
Thank you so much for all your tips.
They did not put this on the website. I had to, dude, I probably spent 40 minutes looking for this video. Like, why? Like, I think it was KCal News is the YouTube channel I'm on right now, dude. It took me, I'm not even joking you. And he even sent me all the links too. I'd even text him for this. And he sent me a bunch of links and stuff too. And I'm like, I could not find it on anything. And eventually, like, I used an AI search app to find it on YouTube and I found it, man.
Of course.
How did you even, we ran out of time, but how did you even get into this?
Oh my goodness, how did I get into this? I'm honestly I'm a very impatient person, and I realize how much technology can like speed up and make our lives more efficient. So I just try to take the time to learn these little tips because they pay dividends into the future. Because now,
see, what did I say? This dude is an efficiency maxer, dude. Like MAXXXXER, dude. Efficiency maxer. This guy is the only reason I even know about Craft, which is a program I use that outlines a bunch of things, is because he was early on, dude, years ago on, I think it's called Noster, with like these crazy note-taking, organizing things that are like was a step above what, you know, Google Docs could do. Like this dude's always had his head like one step ahead when it comes to the technological stuff, dude. Really smart guy. Again, I will link this as soon as we finish this.
We can always do everything a little bit faster.
Look at you.
Yeah.
This is great. You're incredible. Well, thank you so much for
course.
changing our lives. This
you
is
for having me.
wonderful.
Appreciate
We're
it.
going to put all this on our website.
It's crazy because they didn't put it on their website. Wow that she said that multiple times. But again, she probably doesn't have any chance on what she can do with that. So this is the wait, no, let's go to Ty Teaches Tech's page. I'll share his actual page because I want to share you the news one. Again, I don't think his YouTube is as big as any of his other platforms, but again, I will link this in to the chat so you guys can go and follow him if you want some iPhone tips. But again, support the brother. I went to college with this guy. Forgive me. I think it's this one or more. Yeah. Yeah. Share channel. Bang. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to put this in the chat over here again. So that first one is Worrell. The second one is Tyler. Ty Teaches Tech. Okay. So moving on from here, man, we're going to cover the big ticket item. We're going to be moving into Pearl versus Sneako. So this happened, what was it? This happens around like the 47-minute mark on Sneako's latest stream, which is literally called Best Stream Ever. Pull up now if anyone's interested in that. That's what we're going to react to here. So let me go ahead and switch it over here. Let me get it on the big screen. Okay, let me move myself like right in the middle maybe. No, I'll probably stay with this location here because I think they actually do a high screen later on. But all right, again, anyone who's in the chat, if anything is wrong with the volume or anything, please let me know as soon as you think something's wrong or you can't hear anything. I'm monitoring it on my end, but I can only see so much.
Read it out loud. Bro, it's a long book. You want me to read a fucking story time to you?
Oh, this is Discord. Okay,
Pearl!
hold
There
on.
we go.
1 second. 1 second.
Pearl the goat!
Hi, hold on 1 second.
It's just
Eva.
Pearly Things the goat!
Thank you. Eva, my sister's on the phone. Eva, say hi to Sneako. You remember Sneako?
Sneako.
Oh, okay, well.
She doesn't
What you
remember?
doing, man?
Can you hear him?
Can you hear me?
Oh, now
Kind of.
now I think he can. Can you hear?
Pearl's sister!
Is he speaking?
Yeah, do you want to say hi to Sneako? Say hi.
Hello!
I'm gonna be honest. I had no idea Pearl had a sister.
Sneako.
Why do you sound depressed?
Hello.
She's speaking in negative. Hello. Is that Sneako? Everything's going down.
That's how a lot of girls talk. To be fair, right? They always they'll either downplay their enthusiasm or they'll be over the line, like way over the top with their enthusiasm. Speaking in negative, that's a funny statement.
Yeah, what's going on, E?
About to give my dad 125 chickens.
Yeah, we're about to give our dad some chickens. We're about to surprise him with 125 chickens.
Are they cooked or they're moving?
No, real chickens. We had last year. Last year we had the bird flu hit where I'm from, and so we had to get rid of all our chickens. So he's about to get a chicken surprise.
Wait, does COVID count as the bird flu? Because bat's a bird?
I don't know. Wait, it was the bird flu, right, Eva?
Yeah, we had ducks, and the ducks gave it to the chickens. Because the dogs, it doesn't hurt the dogs. The dogs are asymptomatic.
Wait, isn't your sister reformed? She was a wokey, vaccinated lib before, and then she got unvaccinated after getting red pilled on my stream?
Yeah, you're not a feminist anymore, right?
Okay, I was never a feminist. I've always thought feminist.
Where'd she go?
I don't know. Hang up on this lib.
Okay, well, Eva, I'll call you back after this stream. Text me. Yeah, text me the
Like, they're both just so super awkward. And what's weird is too, I thought about this as I'm sitting here, I do everything to like make sure like the camera angles and like I'm like in the middle and like centered. I'm trying to like do everything to make sure the content ID on YouTube is like, it's like, this is good quality video. And then they're both like poor lighting. I guess Sneako's a bit better, but they're like, the focus is all like, I mean, over here, like I'm over here trying hard, dude. And then I'm watching people way more successful than me not try. It's like, okay, maybe the method of success is to try a little less.
Video of dad getting the chickens, please. It's gonna be so. I don't know.
You can hear what she's saying. I don't even know what she's saying. I can't hear her.
It's okay. I'll talk. Okay. Okay, just send me a video. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Well, where are you right now? Are you in Chicago?
No, I'm in Dallas, but I'm in the middle of a move. It's gonna be my life is crazy right now, but yes.
I can tell you're in America. You look more like an American girl right now. In London, you look different.
Well, yeah, I'm back.
What is this supposed to mean?
What were you saying? So you're moving back to America?
Yeah, so my lease ends. I have like 2 leases in London, and
okay, I don't really care. Let's go forward a bit.
Mashallah, you've had the longest volleyball season of all. I feel like you've been in this season for like 6 years straight, or maybe this red pill journey has not been 3 years.
3 seasons. It's 10 months out of the year.
So what are you doing? What was the reason that you're coming back, and why were you in London in the first place?
Well, I went to London to play volleyball, so I was getting my master's degree in playing volleyball, and I did the YouTube stuff on the side, and it just took off. So it's like, it's supposed to be a 1-year program, and then I found like a good producer there, and it was just easier to stay, so I stayed. And
the black guy, Blessing.
Yeah, Blessing.
Even though they call you a racist slave owner, you still had a right-hand man that was a black guy.
I know, they did call me a cop.
Do they seriously call her a racist slave owner? I've not seen people say anything about her, like her being racist or nothing. I see people going after her appearance and that she hates women, but dude, people will say anything, dude, for a smear. Anything to make the poison the well. It's not shocking.
Colonizer. That was a rough one. I didn't take that one too well. That hurt my feelings.
Colonizer hurts your feelings? I feel like that if I was a whitey, that'd be the best insult ever, because that's just, it means that you dominated someone else's culture so much that you end up imposing all of your own cultural, everything culturally significant about your society onto someone else's. Colonizer just means you won.
Okay. Okay, no, but it was...
He ain't lying, dude. He ain't lying.
It's hard because it was people I knew. Because I was like, we were just here like 2 weeks, we were hanging out. And then they were like, oh, you're a colonizer racist. So it kind of hurt my feelings because I thought we were pals. Well, I guess we were not pals.
Oh, so you learned about getting snaked on social media.
So many times. I can't even count.
Yeah, I forgot too. And it was someone that debated you before, Ethan Decline. He keeps calling me dumb on his pod, and then he called me out to a debate. And he's calling me dumb, but now he's running away from the debate because he doesn't want to talk about Zionism. Can you tell him? Do you have his phone number? Can you say, Ethan Decline, stop being fat and debate Sneako? Debate Sneako.
I don't have his phone number. My sister.
Obviously, Ethan Decline is Ethan Klein, who runs the H3H3 podcast that has what I guess you could say it's kind of disappeared from the news media. I barely see Ethan Klein. He was a much bigger figure back then, but his wishy-washy stances on politics and his ever so exposed climb towards the progressive ladder has just like kind of destroyed his own audience. But who cares?
Didn't set it up at the time. That was my biggest L.
Can you tell your slave to please call him up and say, do the debate you asked for?
No,
Is it your house slave or your field slave?
He's my producer,
Okay, so he's house. I'm joking, by the way. I don't want to make you nervous, but you have been doing more debates recently, Poorly. You debated our good friend Lauren Chen.
I had no idea Ethan Klein and Pearl were like on a network together. Or I guess he's her producer. Really? That seems kind of odd.
Enjoy her appearances on this stream over here. And even we debated, and Pearl's been texting me saying, I cooked. I'm cooking.
I cooked you because I knew
Cook
you
me
were
on
wrong.
what? Cook me on
And
okay.
confident. You were so confident in being right on that, and I knew you were wrong.
What did you cook? What did you cook me on, Pearl? By the way, you should just cook dinner and stop trying to cook on debates. But yeah, what did you cook?
Dinner every
Dude.
day.
Facts, dude. No, just kidding. Pearl does a really good job.
Actually, I love cooking. So.
What did you cook exactly? And then we'll get into Lauren Chen.
I cooked you because I was going over the stats that women are more violent than men, and you wanted to deny reality regardless of the stats. And you said because it hurts women's feelings, we shouldn't talk about that.
I did not say that.
You didn't say that word. We could react to it.
What we debated. Look at Pearl pressing me. I'll pull it up in a second, Pearl. I'll pull it up in a second. My argument is that women are supposed to be nurturing. I didn't say that. It had nothing to do with you. Your arguments always go from like feelings over facts. I'm saying that women should nurture.
No,
and mention
facts over feelings. I said we're not nurturing.
This is an aside. It's completely a side point. Why doesn't my Discord, when I do these streams like that, look as clean as what it is on Sneako's end? You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it was just the Donnie's camera or his internet was too slow. I don't know, because it looks like they got pristine connection right now. Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
We're not more nurturing.
So women are not nurturing.
We're not more nurturing than men. Men are better with children. That's
okay,
fact.
Okay, so what's the purpose of women?
I have a hard time with those questions, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, here we go.
No. Because sometimes I think you guys turn into preachers. And you're just trying to preach your religion onto everybody.
I'm just asking you a simple question. I mean, if you're saying that women are not as good as nurturing as men, because my belief is that women are supposed to nurture. If women are not good at nurturing, then it's a follow-up question to that argument. Right?
Yeah, I don't really understand this argument. This is the one thing that she even was on with the Lauren Chen on the Temple Culture War. And I understand what she's saying, right? Like there's a more volume of women's violence towards children, but I don't think that alone can then be used to put forth an argument because women are in more volume abusing kids means that they're less nurturing than men. I just think that because they're more nurturing to kids, that possibly means that they have a higher correlation to then do the complete opposite of nurturing, right? Because if you have the ability to, you have the ability to not, right? It's like the inverse of that. So it's like a woman who's been scorned or a woman who's like in a scathing anger or some kind of like trick like that. But I'm not like, even though there is all this ridiculous feminist like bullcrap going on, women who are still, tuned in biologically into the more natural state and like haven't been propagandized to a crazy level, they're still on average more nurturing than the average guy is. Like, I don't really understand what Pearl's trying to achieve with this kind of argument, but I digress.
Right.
But I guess because I know where you're going with it, and it always turns into a wish list about how we want the world to be, not how it is.
Yeah, but
so
that's the point.
It's always what should women do, and I'm like, well, the trends indicate this, and the data indicates this.
Right. So if there's problems, instead of just diagnosing the problem, because I understand what you're saying, like this is how the world is. So you're diagnosing a problem. Women are not as nurturing, but we should try to be better. And that's the point of conversation, is that we improve each other and we try to like remove each other's flaws. So if you're saying that women are not nurturing, which is what most people believe and what most religions and cultures believe, then what is the purpose of women? The should is an important thing to talk about.
Well, should or is? And that's
should.
The difference.
Should. That's what I'm asking. I'm not asking is. I'm asking should.
So,
this is where Pearl honestly gets a lot of people too. It's because she does come from the Jeff Younger wing of like being extremely pragmatic and realistic when it comes to being hands-on with these situations. She tries to do her best to not be ideological as possible, but I think that still haunts her and it still hurts her argument because there's really honestly very, very little good to be done if you are only recognizing the problem, but you're not prescribing any ounce of a solution, right? Because she essentially just puts out the question, what are men supposed to do? And then leaves it like open-ended, right? So she's really good at being like, look at these women do this, look at this happening, look at this marriage, this, so on and so on. But she's very poor when it comes to prescribing things. And essentially the entire Red Pill movement is extremely poor in prescribing these things, and that's because they don't have their foundations generally in Christ or Christianity. They come from a reactionary standpoint of like, well, here's what you can do to adapt to this environment. Here's what you can do to go hook up with have a bunch of casual sex with these random women. Here's how you can, and while those things might be good for men who are virgins and can't succeed whatsoever, and it's a way for them to kind of build themselves up, and working out's an objectively good thing. It's only prescriptive in a manner of being more advantageous with women and less so about why you would want to be more advantageous with women and what you should do once you are advantageous with women. And it kind of leaves very open-ended. And that's why it's so easy for all these girls to oppose it. It's because they essentially, at the end of the day, they only hear these guys being like, go out and get laid as much as possible. And again, from the Christian perspective, that's also not biblical. So alas, that's why we get all these arguments.
Because that chick that we kicked out of Fresh and Fit, I hope to God she never has children.
True, yeah,
I hope to God. I pray to God that woman never has kids.
Same thing with the pedophiles that we catch on stream. Like, I hope they don't have children either, but the exception, but we both agree. Does the exception make the rule?
Every time I talk about a negative about women, you always have to counter it with a negative about men because we can't handle negative conversations about women. It's like
no. My point is saying, like, the exception does not make the rule, right? If you see one loud Shreesh twerking on the podcast, that shouldn't make up for all women, just like how one pedophile on stream shouldn't make up for all men. Because because feminists make the same argument, Pearl.
So again, the data indicates it's more the rule than the exception. That is what the data indicates.
That most women are abusers, or what? That most women are what?
Well, you were talking about the chick on Fresh and Fit, and you said that's the exception, not the rule. And
yes.
What I'm talking about is marriage.
I have no idea what chick they're referencing, so I'm just gonna hopefully they explain it a bit more.
Women. That they're the exception. It's not the rule based on the data.
That what? That women are bad?
No, not women are bad. It's what % of women are marriageable. And they went through, I have to remember, Aaron Clary broke down how we got these numbers, but it's like 3% of women don't have tattoos, don't have debts, don't have a crazy amount of sexual partners, haven't done sex work, are under a certain weight. It's literally 3%. If you poll Gen Z on what they rank as priorities, they rank men 7th, they rank beaches higher, they rank partying higher, they rank travel higher than men.
Okay.
So it's not like what I wish the world to be, because again, you guys always go back to a wish list. This isn't Make-A-Wish. I'm saying this is what you're saying, but I'm not just talking about. You're saying this isn't. What are you talking about? Because it's not just like diagnosing problems. I understand there's problems with the world. You're saying this isn't it. What are you talking about? Like, I'm asking a question like, what is the purpose of women? And you're saying that doesn't matter.
What's hilarious is how quickly Sneako's chat will turn against him and be like, dude, Pearl's dunking on you. Pearl's owning you. She's cooking. But to be fair, I'm going to align a bit more with Pearl on this, which is, I do find that the standard here has been recently changed, which is these girls that are on these Fresh and Fit podcasts. I would imagine the average woman holds some more similar ideals to her than they do a woman who's from the 1920s. And so that's the argument I would sit here and say, like, yeah, I don't think that crazy chick on Fresh and Fit is no longer an exception. I think maybe we could possibly honestly be in like an odd spot where there's a plurality on both sides. And so there really is no standard or exception. It's like, there's girls like this and girls like this. It's not a standard and exception. It's just like, there's now two general archetypes, right? Which I don't think women really had before, right? With men, it's been very, very, out and exposed. Like, there's alpha males and beta males, right? And then there's obviously like people try to make like the sigma male thing. Regardless, women don't really have very pronounced archetypes, but maybe possibly that is, I mean there are, but it's not like alpha and beta for like descriptive, entire behavior ontologies. It's like, she's a Karen. It's just because she's like, she might be bitchy. That's really the only thing that might differentiate women in a different class or archetypes. I think Pearl's onto something here, though.
But these questions do matter.
Well, what is the purpose according to who? To you or to me or to someone else? It changes depending on who you ask. I'm saying let's talk about what is, not what we want the world to be.
Why?
Because it turns into Make-A-Wish.
No, but not the alternative. Why talk about just the problems? Why just talk about that? What does that do?
Well, what does talking about the solutions do? I've heard tradcons use the same rhetoric that you have kind of had the last like year or so. I've heard it for 10 years. I grew up with it. I've heard it. I've heard all of the
Right.
get married, have children, start a family. And the trend, it will not change the trends.
So
The
then
trends are
what do you
so-
what are you saying?
I'm saying these are the trends. This
Okay.
is what's true.
And then-
in the
and then what?
conversation-
But-
in the
and then what?
conversation- in the okay, so let's take the conversation we had. Women are more violent than men. That is true. Women are more violent towards children than men. That is true. If a man does abuse a child, most likely it is the stepfather. That is the most likely thing. Go into abortion. 1 out of 3 women have had an abortion.
Okay, but you're not
Oh,
like you're not seeing what I'm asking. You're gonna keep listing stats. You're gonna keep saying that women are more violent, women are bad people, right? Women are bad, right? Women should not. But I'm saying, what is the point of saying this?
So
They're both doing a really poor job of articulating the framing of what they're trying to argue. And I think oftentimes this is what separates like the influencers from people who go to like on the Tim Pool show, right? Like when somebody who's on Timcast starts to break down an argument, you can sit there and listen from start to finish and be like, oh, okay. And then both of them are kind of doing a really piss poor job of like being abundantly clear over the positions they're taking and outlining the logic behind the positions. Maybe it'll change as we go on, but who knows?
my purpose in saying that is to focus on what is true, because you said something in that debate that was not true.
What did I say?
Why don't you pull it up? I can't remember off the top of my head exactly, but if you pull it up, I could go through it with you.
Okay, it's over. It's a philosophical thing because I want to.
but that's not.
I can bring it up. I
See,
can bring it
no,
up. But you're
hold on,
the one
hold
saying
on.
you're the one saying it's not true. What did I say that was not true?
Pull it up. I'll show you.
Okay, we'll pull it up. We'll pull it up.
I can't remember word for word off the top of my head.
Someone send me the clip and someone send me the clip.
Put it in. I'll explain exactly what I was talking about.
Okay, I'm not sure. I think you would remember that. But let's get to
Word? I mean, what good of a? This is like 2 weeks ago. How good do you think my memory is?
I don't know. You're the one remembering what was not true, and I'm not.
I remember.
But I'm trying to see like what. So you're saying this is how it is, right? You're basically your worldview is that I'm
I'm a
really.
journalist. I'm a reporter. Like, I'm here to report what's going on. You guys are preachers. I'm a reporter.
No, I'm not a preacher. This is, but I want the world to be better.
I don't think either are either. I'm like, no, dude. You're both influencers, man. Like, as much as I even want to call myself like a pseudo journalist or whatever, it's like, no, if anything, I'm more like, I can only kind of really fall in content creation. And if anything, it's almost like a negative tag to call yourself a journalist. Dude, you like lose respect saying that.
Like, I think that. Okay, so what's
your plan? Make it better. What's your plan?
What's my plan? Is
What's
to
your plan?
we agree about a lot, Pearl.
Microphone.
We talking
to
to
microphone.
Do you want me to
your
answer?
plan, other than talking to? Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So we can diagnose a lot of the problems, right? We agree that feminism is bad, it's ruining women, but then we have to try to make it better. Right? We can't saying feminism is bad over and over again. What does that do?
What does what you're doing do? Saying women's purpose is
But you're not answering my question. What saying feminism is bad and over having this
I actually
dooms
go
mentality.
further than that. I actually go further than that. I say
Where do you go?
feminism won. I say it won.
Yeah.
And it's never going back. So my solution.
I don't agree with it never going back, but as it sits right now, dude, feminism definitely won, dude. The majority of households definitely hold in any random order. It's never going to be God, husband, wife, kids. That's the minority. The majority position is wife, kids, husband, and God, if it even exists in that archetype of those kind of families. So I do agree with her here. Like, this is the reason why I push back against this stuff so hard, is because people truly don't understand just how gynocentric everything has become. And I mean everything. I'm talking in all avenues. I'm not just talking about relationships and dating. I'm talking politics. I'm talking gaming. I'm talking social media, the news, entertainment, art, you name it, dude. Everything, even like everything. It has been feminized in some way. Some things a lot more than others, but everything has been touched. No stone has been left unturned. Even the churches, even Protestant churches. And this has been going on for some time. It's not like been something recent. Even the churches have been infiltrated. So even if the religious institutions that are supposed to defiantly oppose feminism as it stands as an ideology don't, and then accept it and become more forthcoming and more aligned with it, it's just like, yeah, feminism won, dude. If it bent the will of the religious institutions, what else? What other bar would you have to say that it won, right?
Actually is to make women deal with the consequences of their decisions. One way that I would suggest a policy that I'd like to see changed, even though I wouldn't bet on it, is I'd like to see child support gotten rid of, alimony gotten rid of, and when men can sign off to the rights of their children. If you can sleep with who you want as a woman, if you can get a job that's pretty much useless and make money doing it, and you have all of these abortion and birth control options, I think that you should take the responsibility that comes with it. And I think that would actually change a lot, because it would force women to be responsible for their
Yeah, I
children.
hear you say this. You go to the law and you say like what should happen in court, stuff like that.
It's really important, Sneako.
That is, but
you know, more men commit
men
commit suicide every day than are getting married.
Right, but our impact we go back to like what we're doing.
That's extremely depressing. More men are committing suicide than getting married. I mean, I don't know how you beat the replacement rate with those statistics. It seems like we're dropping like flies. And this is also what helps capitulate to the, or adds to, I should say, the fact that I think America sits at like 52% women, 48% men. And I think that trend is not changing. I think we're looking at that getting even more out of hand, and we're losing the balance between the genders.
With the camera and a microphone, our impact is mostly on the culture war. It doesn't have to do with the courts, and we're not going to be able to pass laws. What we're going to be able to do is be able to change people's minds about things and influence the culture. So when it comes to the culture war, like what do you think?
What evidence do you have that that's working? What evidence?
That what's working about the culture?
The culture war has been going on for a decade. I've been watching this shit since I was in high school. What evidence do you have that that's effective?
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that a lot of people are changing their minds about this.
What evidence?
I think both are right. This is the clip that I saw online that made me be like, I definitely want to watch this. And just think about it for a second. Like, outside of just noticing that people are beginning to change their patterns, especially in the online communities, I don't think the dissident right that's made up of people who are banned across a lot of platforms like Sneako, Zerka, Tate, Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, and those who haven't been banned, like the Sovereign Bras of the world. Outside of them, voicing their opinions in the culture war and on X and the free speech platform, like what evidence do you have? Like, what's changing? Because if none of these statistical trends are changing and people are just only saying that they're changing their minds, I think she's right. I think there's not enough cumulative evidence that shows anything's really moving in a direction that's meaningful. And what could change that would be that, a change of like birth rates and marriage rates and different things of that nature too. But I think the big monikers would be like getting huge pieces in like Hollywood or like movies or things like that, like some kind of like large institution, possibly, changing course to take a different patriarchal stance instead of like a gynocentric or matriarchal stance. But I think she's right. Like I've been in the culture war for a long time too. Not as vocal or not as like on platforms and stuff like this, but I've been paying attention. And I think it's only been getting worse, especially when you take it to like the Christian elements with like the recent bills and the anti-Semitism stuff. Like what evidence do we have that things are better? I'm curious to see what Sneako's answer is.
In terms of outcomes, do you have that's effective? Is the birth
that
rate
feminism is you could change the minds of your audience and the people that watch your content.
People can say words, but I'm looking for outcomes and actions. I need proof.
I would say like the biggest example is like Nick Fuentes getting reinstated on Twitter, and the fact that he's dominating the conservative talking points that happen right now. If you want to go evidence, then I think one of the best metrics right now is social media, and all these politicians are getting ratioed by streamers. Streamers have more of a pull right now than most politicians. You keep going to the law and to court, stuff like that. These people have no sort of movement. They don't inspire anybody. The people that are inspiring people are people like me, you, fresh and fit. These people with that have a dominant audience that wants to push these talking points forward. If they believe in all these old talking points like feminism is important and the vaccine is good, then they get blown out of the water. The culture war is being won because everybody, the people that you keep saying that we should go to the law, politicians, they're getting ratioed every time they tweet.
Okay. So I'm sorry, but ratioing a politician does not equate to changing a law.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about changing a law. I'm not talking about changing a law. I'm talking about, but
Okay.
see, no. I'm talking about culture. Laws do not dictate people's minds. This is good evidence that things are getting.
Let's go into culture. Let's go into culture.
Okay.
And I know you haven't done the research on this. I just can tell.
On culture? How do you research culture?
So the way that I would measure it is one is birth rate. The birth rate is still declining. Then you can also poll Gen Z on what they find a fact. I actually have a lot more of insight, I would say, into like Gen Z, just because I have two sisters that are around that age, and I could kind of tell you like what.
Perfect example. Your sister, Pearl. Your sister came on my stream. Didn't she change her mind? She came on my stream and she believes in all this.
This is the
we
problem
unplugged
with
her.
podcast.
We unplugged her in one stream.
Okay, but here's what we got to talk about. Outcomes right now
that was an outcome. She believes in all this woke garbage. We spoke to her and now she's different.
But again, she's right in the fact that it's all seemingly word of mouth. But Sneako is also right in the fact that there are big changes happening in the last month or so. Largely the fact that Nick Fuentes being reinstated, and exactly what he said, he has ratioed almost every single post he has replied to, or that he's quote tweeted somebody on. It shows where the majority of the younger audience is culturally. But again, Pearl's also right, because none of that word of mouth in the public discourse is showing up statistically.
Let's wait, okay? Outcomes is birth rate, marriage, and family. That would be a switching of the culture. Young marriage. Is that happening?
No,
Yes
it's
or
not. No, the average marriage age is like 31 for
Wait,
men.
I'm gonna keep going. Birth rate, up or down?
It's going down.
Okay, number of sex workers, up or down?
It's going up.
Okay, so the last 10 years, I have heard about this culture war my whole life. And what I have found is streamers love the clout. They love the clout. They love to look good on podcasts. They love to, and I see this from the Daily Wire too. They love to say, get married, but they have no real plan for how to switch any of the government incentives that would actually change things. When you pay people to do the wrong thing, they will keep doing it. I don't care how many people say they'll do the right thing. When you have government incentives, Tim, actually, I can't say who this was because he said not to say his name, but there was someone I met on one of the podcasts I was on. He was paying $1,700 a month in child support, $1,700 a month. He hadn't seen his kids in 5 years. This was a Christian woman. I don't care what people say. I watch what they do.
It's a really good point that she brings up the Christian stuff, because how many people do you know, even I call them out on stream, that say they're Christian or they're Catholic right after saying or doing some of the most heinous, blasphemous, heretical thing you've ever seen in mankind? I mean, she's got a point, dude. Like words mean very, 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 very little, right? It is a lot more so about action. So let's see some action. But I do agree with Sneako's point, which is if you're watching the writing on the wall and the social media aspect and with X and Twitter and all of the other social media platforms, you can clearly see there's been a shift in the energy behind what narrative and ideology and movements has more sway and is getting more support.
Okay. I saw what your sister did. She came on this podcast and she believed in that Trump's racist. She believed in all the programming. We spoke to her and then she changed her mind. I think you're using statistics and you're trying to say that the laws, and you're using things that, yeah, of course they're winning in a lot of ways, but what my point, yeah, they're winning in a lot of ways, but what is it?
Clap for words instead of actions.
Okay, but you're not going to change this by passing laws. That seems like it's your solution. You're saying the birth rate's declining. You're saying that there's more sex workers. Passing laws.
Hold on, I'm going to get a whiteboard. Hold. Thank you.
What are you?
I gotta teach you today. Sorry.
Okay, before you write on the whiteboard.
Everything.
Before you
need the whiteboard.
Before you write on the whiteboard, Pearl.
I think I need a whiteboard. A whiteboard would be a nice addition to just like hold up random things. It would be funny.
Passing laws about custody, because that seems like your solution. That's the only thing that you provided. Passing law.
Start. No, that'd be a start.
That'd be a start. That's not going to change the amount of sex workers. That's not going to increase the birth rate. That's not going to get more people. That's not going to get more people to get married. You're not going to win this.
Oh no, it totally would get more people. I don't think you realize how prevalent this is. Crazy.
People are not getting married because of the laws. People are getting married because people are not getting married because they're addicted to porn.
I think he's right in the fact that it's not going to get more people married. It's going to keep people married. And that's an entirely different framing than like getting more people to believe in the institution of marriage versus preventing people who buy into it from ever escaping out of it or jumping out of it. Because again, a woman loses all of her financial incentives if you get rid of things like child support and alimony. So like if she wanted to leave her husband, it would have to be because she desperately wants to just not be with this guy with no incentive outside of just not being with him. And then that would make it seem, then you would be like, if someone goes to divorce, then at that point you'd be like, okay, well, she's doing this because she wants to get away from you. So it's like, what did you do, guy? Or vice versa, right? But again, I'm also someone who has said the belief that we should also get rid of no-fault divorce. I think we should get rid of no-fault divorce, get rid of child support, get rid of alimony, make marriage the institution that it's supposed to be, and make people actually, when they do things to this level and they take the sacred covenant of the matrimony, like you're going to be held to the standard, dude. We're not going to let you, like skirt by with whatever like legal processes we have. And especially the way that it's set up now when everybody knows it leans heavily towards women. It's an abusive system and the state makes money off of it. Just like it could be one of the easiest things you could be like, dude, get rid of that.
This is a cultural problem. It's a programming problem. It's not a problem with the law. When you hear people afraid of getting marriage, like, do you genuinely think that it's because of the courts? That's the main reation.
Do you have any idea how bad the laws are, Sneako?
Of course I do. Of course I do. But the main reason that people are afraid of marriage is because they value their youth and they value casual sex more than they do about something that's traditional. It's not a law problem. It's a cultural problem.
I don't even think it's marriage though. I don't even think it's that people are scared of marriage. I think it's most for men. I'm speaking for men mainly. I think the most men just fear that they would be stuck with the wrong woman, especially because like there's been so many instances where like a woman just up and changes her entire personality, like boom, over something. And you got to expect that too, because women are the ones that have the huge hormonal changes during like childbirth and things of that nature. Men are the ones who stay stable the majority of the time. So just that.
Oh, but the culture stems from this issue because you're paying women to do that. Okay, let me just show you something. So are you a visual learner? I'm a visual learner.
I love the whiteboard.
Same.
Okay, so I'd like to get my notes on this too, because I think this is really important. So a couple laws that you might not know about. If you get a girl pregnant in Miami, right? Or actually, I'm not sure about Miami in particular. This one's from California, but I know a lot of other states have it. Over the age of 2 years old, if you find out that kid's not yours, you are still on the hook for child support for 16 years. Now, what I think a lot of influencers lose is the average man's experience in America. Average men make what, $40,000, $50,000 a year?
57.
And many of them do jobs that are very necessary for this country. For example, we have the military. We need the military, right?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Not for a lot of what we're doing, no. No, I mean, based on the military conquest right now, we don't need it for a lot of reasons. Of course, we need a military to defend it in case there's threats, but for what we use it for, no. But keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Like having a force that is meant to just simply defend your borders versus having a standing army at the ready to go and do all of these expansionist conquests in the Middle East and in Ukraine and in the Koreas. Like, yeah, you don't need that much military.
Okay. But you would agree that a soldier going to war, that's like, I interviewed a guy today, he served in Iraq. You might not agree with the war, but that's still a noble thing to do, right? Serve in our military, protect our country, you'd agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Many of these men come back, their apartment is gone. All of their shit, their bank accounts are drained. Ask any military guy. Almost all of them know somebody that has come home to this. Bank account empty. Kids gone. And because the way the law is structured, the woman has spent most of the time with the children the last year. Guess who gets primary custody?
The women.
When you pay women to do the wrong thing, they will do it. And I could give examples, and you have to.
We've heard this, Pearl. Like, but the conversation that I want to have with you is bigger than this. Like before, okay, listen to me before you go right on the whiteboard, because the laws are a very small part of this. See, what's going on.
They're not, though. They're definitely not. The laws are the biggest mechanism that you have, and from the argument of the ethos, which is the authority or the authorita, is like, if these things weren't in place, dude, it's like there's no incentive or disincentives. It's the most dumb thing. It's as dumb as saying like, well, if there was no law against murder, things wouldn't change that much. And it's like, no, you're retarded. If there's no disincentive to doing it, then it immediately makes people much more willingly ready to do it. We saw this with the with all of the decriminalization with weed, and now weed culture is almost everywhere now, right? Like you would expect that. Right, if you follow Sneako's argument, you would expect that nothing would have changed in people's incentive because the incentives changed. So, but his argument is like the law doesn't matter that much. It's just like a super weak argument. I don't really understand where he's coming from.
No,
it's much. You're saying it's smaller. Let me finish. Okay.
70% of the homeless came from some sort of family court in the last 5 years. They were in contact with it. 400,000 men.
Pearl, you just said what I said you were going to do. Before you list these stats that you've downloaded into your head, the problem is a lot bigger than what you make it seem to be. It's a problem versus good and evil. That's what you kind of minimize it to something that's much smaller, saying, okay, this is bad, this is bad. They're trying to separate God from us. They want us to have this dooms mentality. They want us to have this, to believe that we should not have kids because of climate change. They want us to think that everything is fucked. So what's the point of continuing? So by having this everything is fucked?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is the conversation I want to have. What does believing that do? Please answer this question before you go into
you can prepare accordingly.
Okay, how do you prepare accordingly for everything's fucked?
Personally, I'll tell you how my family's prepared. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
So my family, my dad actually had this thought. He doesn't follow any of this stuff. He's just the smartest man I've ever met in my life. He bought a neighborhood for all of me and my siblings and got a bunch of guns. So when everything goes to shit, we have a completely self-sustaining, like you can farm, you could get your food from there. We just got chickens. So that's what we did, because we didn't say, oh.
Family compound would be so nice. Having a family compound, dude, is so amazing. This what's crazy is they're talking about this now, but I've actually seen a couple videos recently of people who actually like got one set up and a couple different ones. Dude, some of these are beautiful, dude. I don't know where they're located at all, but like, man, if I ever had a goal I would be aiming at, would be to have a family compound. It's just something I could probably honestly do if we cleared out woods behind my where my parents are at, but it would just be an amazing thing to have a family compound, dude. That's a dream of mine. I don't know if anybody else shares that, but for me, for sure. But again, going back to the argument, this is like the pragmatic, Pearl's being the pragmatic one, right? And then Sneako is being the one that's being way less pragmatic, slightly pragmatic, but way more so just in the pure ideological, like the dreamers. I think both are necessary, right? I think you have to understand with the level of depth that Pearl does, how deep the rot goes, so that in order to understand how to articulate what Sneako is saying and what she's also saying to prepare, but what Sneako is saying is then understand what in depth all these statistics and all of the birth rates, the failing marriage rate, so we can get to the why. So then you can match and then be like, okay, this is what was happening, and here's what we can do because we understand this is going on. Now we can put people back towards God, and we can fix these issues. I think this claim to make Pearl to be out to be a doomer is just a little kind of stretched out, because it's like, I mean, she does come off as a doomer. I'm not gonna be wrong on that, but it's still, she's being real, right? She's being very real, and I mean, opaque and being a hammer with a lot of this stuff. To be fair, like, don't get me wrong, but if you don't have the pragmatic aspect and the realistic understanding of like why and how, then how would you ever get a good understanding or be able to give a good prescription to how to get out of something? It's just dumb. Like, you need both of them, right? Like, they're both right in their own aspects, but it's like you got to combine the two.
Let me pray and hope and pray to God that everything isn't.
No. That's not what I'm saying. The solution is there's practical things you have to do. But do you see?
You can't buy a neighborhood. I know that's not for most people, you know. But sorry, that's like a very
okay. But do you see? Okay, do you see that how the solution you provided is the same to my solution?
Yeah, it might be but I think every person should decide for themselves. I don't know what, like, you know.
They should, but your dad's a Christian, correct? I could hear, like, based off what he's doing, he's not a Christian.
I mean, he doesn't practice because.
But he's a Christian.
He's not practicing.
He's a Christian.
He's not practicing.
But he is a Christian.
Well, it's Catholic. We're Catholic, but
sure,
he's not really practicing.
The point is, your solution that you provided. Let me answer.
For him, it doesn't really come from God. He's just a practical.
No, it does though. It does, because he's trying to continue the human race.
I want to believe, but it's
the
not.
Solution you provided was, being self-sufficient, having your own farm, is protecting yourself for the future, having a big family, creating an environment that's not going to be able to the government can't take away. He is providing and preparing for the future and going to be resistant from any of the programming. He's going to be able to growing his own food. He has his own family. He's protected. He's armed. He is preparing for the future. That's what my solution is too. Instead of saying everything is fucked, this is the way it is. This is the way it is.
Apartment in Miami. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm building it. I'm creating wealth for the future, and I'm 25. I want to get married soon, right? So this is all things that I'm building for the future. Instead of saying everything is doomed, this is fucked, like, because that's what you repeat a lot. This is fucked. This is bad. Women are evil. I agree, Pearl. Listen, I agree. A lot of these women are evil, but what we should be doing is getting as much money as possible, being self-sufficient, not being able to be programmed by the government. Arm yourself and prepare for the future.
Yeah, so his argument is still in hand, practical one, which is self-improvement, work on yourself. Don't be dependent. It's the big one, right? Like, start making your own money. You can be self-sufficient in multiple different ways, but I think she made a good point there, which is you're still in the city in Miami. I don't think you're not necessarily that positioned that well, but again, it's a side point. He's young and he gave his reasoning. This is the one of the biggest issues I do have with Pearl, but because Sneako's right, even if her dad's not practicing, where did she think he even got the foundation for like his moral compass in the first place? Just because he's not practicing, he still would have some tenets from that faith, right? So her quickness to kind of throw her own dad and other people into be like, oh, we're not like, you're not that Christian, we're Catholic. It's just kind of odd to me. And, because that's one thing where I've like, she's even been called out before in the past over like saying like she hates these verses or she doesn't like that portion of the Bible. It's like, where are you kind of coming from, But it would make sense her foundation would be Catholic. It just seems like she's not willing to give the most kind of Catholic solutions.
You don't prepare for the future by listening to statistics that make you have a dooms mentality. You say things that are positive because you want to have a strong mind. If you have a weak mind, guess what you're not going to be able to do? You're not going to have your own neighborhood. You're not going to have all the guns that you have. You're not going to be able to pray to God. You're not going to be prepared for the future.
That's only if you're a weak person and you can't deal with reality. There's many people that can look at the stats, numbers, and statistics and can move accordingly. Just because you can't doesn't mean everyone else can.
Of course I can look. I can look at the stats, but
I'm a very happy person. I mean, I'm in a great, but I'm not.
Yeah, but your audience, like you create. My point is,
I'm not going to go into the future blind and not see what's going on. There's going to be a huge crash. It's going to be devastating.
We know.
We cannot keep going like this.
I know. Most people are not going to make it, but we don't want to be of the people that are not going to make it. And by listing, my point is by listing all these things, like women are more violent. This is fucked. This. You create more of this like dooms mentality. My whole point is your rhetoric is going to create more people that don't make it than people that make it. You're going to have more people like this is fun, that more people with a mindset that's kind of meaningless, and people are going to give up more by like, this is, they're not going to think, why should I try? They're going to think I should just give up because I'm fucked anyway.
I don't think it's because they're not going to try. I think they're more willing to just, because they hear what Pearl's stance, they're going to be more willing to take the red pill advice, which is just to go sleep around, make money, and not care what happens and live life just because you don't know when tomorrow's guaranteed, which is a far cry from framing your life to be one that honors God and loves Jesus Christ and acknowledges Christ as King, right? And so like that's the big difference, and that's why I'm going to side with Sneako, like here towards the end, which is the pragmatic stuff is great, but if you're pairing it with like nothing besides just changing laws and not offering a moral kind of lining or a silver lining to why these things should be put in place, it's going to be hard to get people to move over there amidst all of the chaos going on.
I would disagree with you. I think it helps you prepare. Women are more violent is true. And because of that, men should be awarded custody most of the time. That's the conclusion I would come to. And I think when you repeat lies, you're part of the problem.
Who's repeating lies?
The people that say that women are more nurturing. It's not true. That's how we have sexist laws on the book, is because people believe
because
that.
women are not more nurturing. Okay, so this goes back to the question I asked earlier. Then what's if women are not nurturing, then what is the purpose of women?
Yeah, because that's just like downright like denying the biological reality of what women are supposed to be. It's more so like the argument is women, the current iteration of women have moved away from that. Not all of them, but the majority of them. And the trend lines show that women are moving away from their biological nature. It shouldn't be that women just aren't. I think if you're only looking at recent data, you're not. It's none of that's going to be backed up if you look at historical data.
I would say that women's, what should it be or what is it? Because that's two different things.
What should it be? What should the women's purpose be? Because I know what you think it is.
According to me, I would say we are happiest when our purpose comes from a man. That's what I would say.
Okay, and what do you think a man wants your purpose to be?
That's according to me.
Sure.
But you might say something else. Someone else might say something else. And I'm not a preacher. You know, you can believe what you want.
It's weird because I hear you keep going about, you're saying what is and then what should be. And then when it comes to this question, you're like, this is what it's up to me. But then, okay, so if it should go to a man, what do you think a man wants his woman's purpose to be?
God, it depends on every guy. I know guys that...
See, like this is the part, like extremely unwilling to provide a standard or a North Star in which people should go to, but exuberantly willing to sit here and say what all these bad things are, but not going to point anybody into a direction, which aids what Sneako is saying, which is this is just kind of a doomer argument. I think for the majority of what she says, it appears to be a doomer. You have to kind of do a little bit of legwork to understand she's trying to just be pragmatic and as transparent as possible, but the rhetoric seemingly always comes from like a doomer kind of feeling.
Wait. So you're generalizing. Okay, you say women are more violent, and that's a general statement. And then I'll ask you like a basic truth, like what do men generally want their woman to do? And you're like, it depends on the guy. So it's either you generalize or you don't.
Well, I mean, it depends what the guy wants to achieve. Like, you know, for example, I think
generally guys all want to achieve the same thing. We're not as different as you say we are, and I think you agree with that. We all want to continue the human race. We all want to be happy. We all want to be self-sufficient. Men want to be strong and have families. Like these are general statements that now
I've met a decent amount of men these days that actually don't want children. So I could think of a couple off the, like one.
Yeah, and I've met a lot of guys that are faggots, but that doesn't make all guys like, see, you focus sometimes on the exception when it fits this doomer mentality, but not the general. Generally, like the whole reason that we exist is to create more people. That's our God-given purpose, right? You can't look at the people that are following this black pill thing and think that we don't want to have kids.
Well, I think it's incredibly difficult to have kids in this environment because of how bad the laws are.
True, but what is our
And I guess,
like?
okay, so Sneako, I have a question. So one of your fans watches you, right? And they take your advice. They get married young, or they get married, have kids, have a family, get a big family. After the last kids, she steals his children, takes his money. He's on the brink of suicide.
But that's not my advice. You're not saying that's not my advice. You didn't ask what it was.
My point.
That's not what I said. That's not what I prescribe.
Okay, maybe not you, but many trad cons or that thinking give that
But
advice.
you're debating me. You're talking to me. You're not debating like an imaginary trad con.
I've heard you say like get married.
Truth.
I think I've heard it. Maybe I haven't. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm trying to correct you because that's not what I say.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Do you think men should have children?
Yeah, of course. I think we should have a lot of children. And my prescription. I'm not arguing with you because
Why are you arguing that I was right? Okay.
No. You said get married. You said get married young. Hold on, because I know where you're going. You're gonna say.
Fine. You could just say fine. Do you think men should have children at some point?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. My God, like.
But you said get married young, and then you said they're gonna get screwed by the court, and the woman's gonna take everything.
Fine. Whenever they want to have children, you're saying have children.
Of course.
I've heard that.
Yes, you should have a lot of children.
See, that was arguing to argue. I swear to God.
No, because you said that we should get married and get screwed by the courts. That's not what I say.
Okay.
You don't even know what I say.
I also don't think the answer is to have kids out of wedlock. I think the answer here is like, why is there not a bigger push from the establishment Republicans or on the politics at large to make these changes to family court? Especially when we can all sit here and realize that it's having devastating effects on nearly every person, from children who are a part of these divorced families who grow up to only repeat the same mistakes their parents made. That's why it's like, you do get people like Jeff Younger who say like trad tards and take these stances that are punching from the right to these people who like the Matt Walshes of the world, who just can only say get married. And it's just like, it's such a blanket answer for something that's like, you're only going to lose support if you give that answer. Because every regular dude, and that's why, and even my father goes to the lengths of saying, and I'm not going to go to the lengths because I agree with them, because they come off as elitist, right? And it's what Pearl said to begin this, right? Where it seems like no one can even visualize or understand what it is like to be a regular guy. And until like we can eliminate these ridiculous kind of elitist sentiments that like everything just works out and we can ignore all the statistics, it is retarded. It's just like, that is the definition of retarded. Especially when you know everything is set up that way, like not only just like the way alimony works, but the way like how easy it is to get a divorce and how easy it is for women to get incentivized to do these things. It's just like you're literally just ushering men in to be abused. You're literally just ushering them in you're helping the state out. I don't know how you could support sending someone in to a corrupt room, knowing that what they're like, they have all odds are against them, just out of virtue of like being married. It's like, dude, just like use your platforms to change the laws. But that's when you get like the simp rhetoric from Pearl, which is like the refusal to even take these stances or even speak about it at large or at length in any form or fashion is the biggest red flag, which is like, are you guys all simply too scared of your own wives? Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, insert any Republican X or right-wing influencer X or Y here that doesn't take a hard stance against what's going on in the courts and the marriage system. Is it really because all these dudes are chained to some leash that their wife holds in her hand? Are these guys the ones who live in these marriages that are like the wife runs them? It's so dumb. It's so ridiculous. It's like, one of the last things I could imagine myself doing is looking at men suffering at large in such incredibly obvious ways and telling them just to go F off. You might as well just tell them to go F themselves. Or go KYS, man. And it's just like, that's awful. That's not a prescription, dude. It's just ignorance. It's like the ignorance is malicious at this point. These things have been going on for far too long, dude. And especially when they talk about, we want to change culture, we want to change this. Bro, family courts, and affecting the literal immediate family could possibly and probably is the the most important thing that you could help change with a law. But nope, dude, we got to make sure we're talking about Israel. How much money we send into Israel, all those poor people in Israel. I do not care, dude. Do not care. And that's why you get these kind of arguments with these people like this, because like they're not even having the discussion. Like, you know, Daily Wire is probably okay with how the marriage court sits. Like, they don't even care. But especially when it's like, they always want to talk about, we want to change culture, we want to do this. Well, the most important things you can do is because politics is downstream from culture. Okay, why don't you do something that would have an actual great effect on culture instead of putting out like another movie that has the most least offensive jokes and tags against what you were trying to rail against to win in the culture war. And I'm talking about like the Lady Ballers and the new one, the Mr. Bertram or whatever. It's low. It's super low. It's weak. It's soft. It's like we were looking for a haymaker and we got tapped. You know, and it's just like I'm completely done with the Daily Wire, dude. They've done one too many things for me to be able to respect them anymore, especially because like I can't stand the Israel first mentality, first and foremost, but secondly, the marriage courts things is beginning to bother me to a great degree because I do want to help improve this country and I don't want to be taking this doomer stance like Pearl, but we can't even be pragmatic about it if everyone refuses to talk about it or pretend that it's not an issue. And then actually instead what anybody does is when they do try to bring up the issue, they attack them and they're like, oh, you're porn brained. Oh, you're an incel. Oh, you're fat and lazy. No one wants you. And it's like, yeah, man, we're really moving the needle here in America. It's just so pointless, but I digress.
Wait. Let me finish. Sometimes I think you argue to argue and not to understand. And
But
like sometimes I feel
you're
like
arguing against something I'm not saying. I'm not saying that. Like I've never
planned to have children.
Yes.
Right? You did say that.
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Let me finish. My God. Okay. So if a man does that and gets put on $1,700 a month for 15 years and gets to a point where he's alienated. So the woman, so this is let's say me and you, I'm in your apartment, we have a kid, right? Then boom, little kid comes out. I can get a restraining order and say that you're stop. Stop. Okay, fine, someone else. But we get a kid, right? Yeah, I can get a restraining order.
I need a soundboard.
Stop.
I was looking at chat, I'm looking at you.
Stop. I'm like freaking A. I can get a restraining order on you. I can. Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Paying attention.
I am. You can get a restraining order, blah, blah, blah.
This is important.
I know where you're going with this.
No, it can really ruin men's
This is
lives.
basic streamer nonsense right
Last
here.
guy, he has another 10 years paying $1,700 a month. He hasn't seen his kids in 5 years. He spent $200,000 trying to get them back.
18 years. 18 years.
No, but you think this is funny. You don't understand how many men commit suicide. There are more men committing suicide over this stuff than getting married every year.
Yeah.
That's how prevalent it is. There have been more men that have committed suicide over this than have fought in all of the world wars. All of the American wars. And it's like your lack of empathy for this stuff actually like blows my mind.
My lack of empathy. I know that guys kill themselves.
If someone listens to you and does this, they're the ones that are going to be responsible, not you. That's why I say guys have to pick for themselves.
Okay.
Because I won't have blood on my hands. I won't. I've interviewed guys on the other end of this. You think it's funny, but it's not.
Wait, you think I have blood on my hands? Not. Is that that's your point?
Yeah, because if you push, if you tell guys,
That's way too far. There's a huge list of people who got blood on their hands in this realm before you can even point to somebody like Sneako. Like that's just such a stretch, Pearl. Come on.
To do that, and they make that decision off of something you said. There's going to be a percentage of them that have their lives. It's not funny.
Yeah.
Like it's
sure.
Like I interviewed a guy today. Literally today. He was a veteran and he comes back. It's house is gone, or all of his stuff is gone. His money is gone. His kids are gone. Called him an abuser.
Okay.
Now his kids hate him. He did what he was told. He had 2 kids. They both hate him.
Sure.
Because the mom alienated.
All right. Let me dissect what you just said. So you're saying I have blood in my hands because I'm advocating for people to have kids, and then people become suicidal because their wife might screw them over and take their kids away, correct? Right. And
If you do not warn them, I personally would feel bad.
Warn them
if
of what?
I gave someone that advice.
Having kids might make them suicidal?
In the end, yes, because the court system, it's so
That's
crazy.
retarded.
Okay, let me
That's just so dumb. I don't know where even Pearl's going at this point.
show you something.
Pearl, talk to me before you bring up. Talk to me. Okay, so you just said that I have blood on my hands if I do not warn my audience that having children will, by proxy, make them suicidal. That was your point. So what is the
percentage of them? Yes.
Okay,
a
percentage
of them it will happen to.
Right. What is the alternative? You're saying having kids will make you suicidal, so what's the alternative?
I say decide for yourself. Here are the facts.
Decide for yourself.
Here's the data. You're a man. I think men should pick for themselves.
They should.
Exactly.
Right, and they should pick the best option because more men are going to be suicidal by having no purpose in life. That's the reason that you become depressed, is that you have no purpose. If you don't have kids by the time you're 40 or 50 years old, you have nothing to live for. And by proxy, they're not going to say a lot of these people are suicidal because, like, you can't say it's directly because they have kids. But the reason you don't continue life is because you have no purpose.
Why do they need to have George Washington had no kids. I think Isaac Newton. There's been men in history that have been great, influential men.
Of course, there are exceptions.
Which, to be fair, even the apostle Paul points this out. There's even literature you can go and look into that talks about how the disciples were kind of abhorred when Jesus was explaining, the exceptions with marriage and, how truly it binds you to another person. And it talks about how the disciples all kind of unanimously were like, maybe it would be better if we didn't get married, just because of hearing like how consequential, Jesus and the Lord, they view marriage, especially what it's meant to do and what the institution is. And so I think there is an argument to be had that you don't necessarily need to direct every man's path towards marriage. I think although the majority of them will, I think it should also be played on the option too. But again, that can only be done purposefully and giving someone purpose if they're only choosing to not be married based on that logic, not because they are too scared of the risk, but because they think for themselves truly and deep down that because of, as the Apostle Paul said it, they would actually view themselves being better off single the rest of their lives than deciding to get married. But that's the only exception I can think of. And it has to be in that framing. Outside of it, it only does come from generally a selfish place, or like, I want to just be me, or more me time, because I don't want to have kids. I don't want things to take away from me time. I think, though, there is a correct way you can frame the man staying single if it's done in the kind of stewardship that Apostle Paul had spoken about in the Bible.
To the rule, but then you keep saying I don't operate based off what should. Pearl, listen.
Most men didn't reproduce. Most men didn't reproduce in history.
Most men didn't reproduce in history. Okay, okay, Pearl.
You're Muslim? You should know this more than anyone.
That most men have not. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 16 women for every one man, or so. I don't know it off the top of my head.
16 women versus what? Okay. If you're gonna, there's a flaw that I'm hearing in what you're saying. Your main argument is that I don't operate based off what should be. I operate based off what is. And then whenever there's like a hole or there's something that you want to justify that's kind of doomer, then you immediately you bring up George Washington to prove your belief. Like you use an exception to prove the rule.
No, I was using an example to prove that men can have purpose without children. So, and I could give you more than one example. I mean, you can Google it. Great men in history without kids. There's a whole list.
Yeah, that's the exception. That's the very small exception.
I would say it's actually the rule because historically most men did not reproduce.
Yeah, I think she's actually 100% correct here. I believe the statistic is historically, with all of what we understand and what records we do have, that for every one man who has a child in his name, 16 women have a child in their name. which again goes along with the hypergamy argument, which is, more women are able to have sexual access. You got to think of war, slavery, all these things with men being wiped out. I don't know if it's every 1 for every 16. I thought it was closer to 1 for every 8, but I could be wrong.
Women are very selective. We're hypergamous. Remember, we only reproduce with a small percentage of men. Most men didn't reproduce.
But we need to continue the human race. We need to keep pushing this forward that most people should have kids, especially right now if the birth rate's declining. The way to fix this is if people have kids, right? So you're saying earlier that the birth rate's declining, more women are sex workers, and then you're saying men shouldn't have kids.
I mean,
do you want to contribute towards?
There were diseases that took out like half the population on Earth, and we survived. We're still here.
True. So you're saying the birth rate's declining. Do you want to help that, or do you want to contribute towards that?
Well, the only solution that I see that would not lead the same amount of men last generation to commit suicide would be changing the court system first. That's the only solution I see.
Changing the court system. But okay.
So I think her general argument is don't get married unless you are for sure. Outside of that, her argument is if we want to push people to get married, we need to not repeat the same exact thing that led to the suicide epidemic we're experiencing now, which I can agree with that, which is change the family court laws. The fact that multiple streamers and people are clamoring about it nonstop on the whatever podcast, on Fresh and Fit, whatever red pill podcast you tune into, but there's very little of it being spoken about in the political arena shows just how little there is, or in fact, it shows possibly how much lobbying there is on the opposite, which is to keep the courts exactly as they are. For those who are interested, I think you should look it up too. Jeff Younger put a big thing out, but most people don't even understand this or know this. But state court systems, they generally get money for assigning child support. They get 44 cents per the dollar of every child support. And then a lot of these times it just goes into like the court treasury funds, which essentially just goes up to pay pensions and not 401ks. I might be getting that wrong, but it goes back and it's like an incentive for the judges. So the judges have a personal financial incentive to even assign child support. You couldn't have a more corrupt system, just on its face, and it's public and we've known about it for how long. And that's what I mean. Like the ignorance is malicious. You can't tell me Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro, et cetera, don't have a decent understanding of these things, the way that it operates. But then they want to sit here and pay lip service to like, this is what family values should do. We should get rid of no fault divorce, but then do nothing and don't go on any campaigns for those purposes. That's why you find the Jeff Youngers of the world saying all these trad tards and the ignorance is malicious. And I'm moving to that point because it's too obvious to ignore anymore.
No child support, no alimony, 50-50 custody. Boom, do that first. The floodgates are open. Go crazy.
I agree off those things. That makes sense. But okay. What is more impactful with what we talk about, right? And it comes from the message that you push in your content. Saying your content, in my opinion, should not start and end at custody laws. There's a bigger conversation to be had. Can you agree that there's a spiritual war going on, Pearl?
I'm not crazy religious and I don't like pushing it onto people.
It doesn't have anything to do with religion. Do you agree that there's spiritual warfare going on?
Okay, what does that mean?
That there's a war for your mind.
Between who?
This is like the red flag I have with Pearl, which I said this earlier in the stream. Like her unwillingness to move towards faith should be a notice to understand like she's not prescriptively giving out the best solutions or possibly even any of the best solutions, but she's really good at calling this stuff out. It just saddens me that somebody who, was raised Catholic and all this, but I guess understandably so. I think the trope is with a lot of Catholic people, they end up falling out of the faith and then like do everything they can to like avoid it, which is unfortunate.
Between the people that control the world and everybody else.
So Jewish people.
My God.
Didn't say that.
Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that, no.
Okay.
I would say the Satanists.
What's crazy is how a conversation about marriage laws ends it somehow within an hour gets to the Jews. That's what I'm saying, dude. People are noticing, dude. You can't lie to people forever, man. The truth will see the light at some point.
the Satanists that control, there's a battle of good versus evil. It doesn't have to be whatever you want to prescribe it as. A lot of us, we agree that it is, a lot of them are Zionists. A lot of them have allegiance to Israel.
Yes.
Or it doesn't mean Jewish people in general.
I don't think, yes, but I don't think
Correct.
everyone would agree on what good and evil is.
Of course I don't.
Okay, but yeah, sure.
Well, obviously.
Okay, so there's spiritual warfare going on. If we're fighting this culture war, which is by proxy, you are doing it too, because we agree on so much, then the bigger conversation to be had is how do we defeat these people that are trying to destroy our souls, that are trying to take us away from God? That's the bigger battle. But that's the bigger, that's the reason.
What's your plan?
My plan is to continue talking about this. It's bigger than the custody battle.
I hate streamers.
You hate you're a streamer, Pearl. You're not gonna go past these custody laws by getting on a stream and talking about the custody laws.
I'm honest about it. Freaking A. It's my plan is to talk into a microphone. That won't do anything.
Your plan.
Yeah, that's just like so nonsensical. Because it's like, that's literally what you do, Pearl. Right? Like, you're not a legislator, you know? And I think, like, especially for someone who's kind of spearheaded a lot of this stuff, like, can't you see, like, the fruits of the labor? That's just kind of a ridiculous point. This is like just like being contrarian just to oppose Sneako, because I think he's got her in a corner.
What makes you different than the streamers that you hate?
Sorry, I was being tongue in cheek. That's how we say it. I just meant I get a bit frustrated when the answer is talking to a microphone more. I get a bit.
You're not going to go and sign laws that change the custody problem, Pearl.
You're
not going to go into the courts and then fix the marriage battles. Like, this is the biggest problem that we have.
I know, but at least I'm being honest and I'm saying, look, guys,
and how am I? Okay, Pearl, how am I being dishonest?
Because the thing is, if you talk about it, you get more people talking about it. You get more streamers to talk about it. Then if it's everyone's got it in the conversation, well, then that means everyone's going to be ready for if there was a law put on the table, then people are going to be aware and they're going to have, forgive me, the educational background, or at least some level of it, because they'll be in tune to these conversations happening to be able to make a decision if they were to platform or ever go to removing no-fault divorce and getting rid of all these ridiculous incentives in family courts as well.
Where am I lying? Tell me where I'm lying.
I think you sell because you want people to convert to Islam. You sell that as a solution to your problems. And I would disagree with you.
That's not my ultimate purpose is not just to convert people to, if people are happy Christians, just like your father, he's fighting the resistance more than most people.
See right there.
What?
I think a lot of times people are trying to sell religion. Like that's what their end goal. Join my religion. So if it's not Islam, it's Christianity. Okay. It couldn't just be my dad made a decision because he was smart. It's because he's a Christian.
I guess we can just get to the point where just start disregarding everything Pearl says. Right? I didn't think that she was this anti-religion, or at least like unwilling to accept religion as an answer. You know, I thought before she was being tongue-in-cheek with what she was saying about the Bible, but at this point it's like, dude, this is actually aggressively anti-Christian, just the refusal to even choose because everybody knows living for something greater than yourself is better. So even one of the three Abrahamic religions would be better than, well, two of the Abrahamic religions would be better than nothing, and atheism, and living towards just like this masochist, you know, everything's broken, nothing will get better kind of lifestyle.
Christian, and that's the answer.
You're saying selling. How do I profit off of that? If people become strong Christians, strong Jews, strong Muslims, where do I profit from that?
Well, what I think
you're not answering
better to say
because you're saying sell like I make like there's a website.
Maybe we could say convert instead of sell.
Okay, and why is that bad?
We could say convert. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I'm on the belief that people should think for themselves. Here's the information. Women are more violent than men. Do with it what you want. Think for yourself.
Okay.
Well, I don't understand how just by proxy of having someone convert means they're not thinking for themselves. Like someone can definitely independently think that this religion is what they should be believing in. It's just like, again, I don't get how people can get huge like this. Because sometimes it's just like, I don't understand how you're that dumb. But again, we can't beggars can't be choosers, right?
Okay. You still are thinking for yourself if you realize that there's spiritual warfare going on. And also, there's a couple things I want to say before you go. If people are
cooking too hard,
no, it's just you're going in circles, and it doesn't. You're not seeing that there's a bigger purpose to this. if people are Christian or they're Muslims or they're God-fearing, whatever they are, then they're not going to be reliant upon the government to tell them that they should believe that they shouldn't have kids, that they should fall in line. Because if people are not going to believe in God, they're going to be subservient to something. They're going to be subservient to the government. They're going to be followers of the government that doesn't care about them and wants them to be doomers, like what you're pushing.
Okay, let me.
The
Okay,
second thing is okay. No. Before you continue, the second thing.
I want to address that. I need
Hold
to go.
on. The second thing.
Cooking too hard.
The second.
Cooking too hard.
Okay, Pearl. The second thing you keep saying is that women are more violent than men. What is your definition of violent?
Okay. 1, killing your children. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion.
No.
2, abusing
What's
your
that?
children.
Don't go on the stats listing thing. What is your definition of violent?
Oh, look at. Okay. Violence. I couldn't tell you the
Okay.
definition off the top of my head.
They're just going to start talking in circles again. That's unfortunate. I think we got the gist of what that debate was going to end up being about. So that was like the first opening hour of it. That is, for anybody who is willing or wants to know, it's like the 47-minute Pearl and Sneako stream. We got about like an hour through of that, maybe a little bit less than that. I'm very disappointed in Pearl. I thought Pearl was going to have a better stance than what she did. But again, I think anybody approaching it from an aspect without religion, or at least without some idea of living for something greater than yourself, it just loses. It just loses, because I think really what Pearl is pushing is for men to just simply be selfish in the name of just like not screwing themselves over, which I don't think is all bad, because I'm not going to sit here and say what men should just willingly sign themselves up and just take the chance that it's not them, because I think that's irresponsible too. Again, the bigger thing here is the fact that she multiple times was unwilling to go to the religious answer. And it's sad, because follows that typical trope of, I used to be Catholic and now I will do anything but go to a Catholic church. And it's like, man, if anything, that's a problem on the church's end, on the church back end, of just like being so poor in its missionary service to evangelize the people in its own services. And I'm not going to speak ill will on Catholic churches, because it's this kind of stuff is very prevalent even in the Protestant denominations here out west, right? They do a piss poor job of having balance when it comes to outlining the sins of men versus outlining the sins of women. Generally, it's just very, very gynocentric. Once again, the pastor has no problem talking about what men should do to be better and what men should be doing. But when it comes to like talking about 1 Timothy 12 and giving a lesson on gluttony, or giving a lesson on what women should be doing to submit to their husbands and what they may not possibly be doing, and why they need to do it and to honor God, those conversations just don't happen nearly as much. And for what reason? Outside of just not wanting to offend anybody. And that's what I mean, which is like, it seems that Christianity has moved on the brand name Christianity, has moved to a indifferent ideology. It's an ideology of tolerance and indifference. Its main goal for most Christians is to just all get along, not understanding, Jesus came to divide, right? And it's just, a lot of it stems from the fact that people are believing some alternate version of Christianity that their preacher told them, and it's not a Christianity that comes from Jesus Christ, or doesn't come from the Bible. It comes from some weird, kind of facsimile imitation, because it's a moneymaker for people. And I don't know what a lot of the reasoning might be for that. All in all, it is just like, it's very, very unfortunate that it has to be this way. But if anything, I'm going to say Sneako won, just the opening act of Pearl, making those points. I think it puts her in a corner, and I think it adds to the fact that she's got a lot of doomer rhetoric. I was, even early on in this, I said I don't see much of the doomer response, or people being, I think, the doomer accusations on Pearl are a bit much, but I think after watching that, I think the unwillingness to move towards the Christian position, I think, is enough for me to be like, okay, she needs to show a bit more light on what she wants to do prescriptively, rather than just spouting out a bunch of just like negative, depressing, blackpilling stuff, and then saying, well, make your own choice. Because the implication after saying all that negative stuff would be like, well, the choice would probably be not to do it. So I understand what Sneako's argument is there. I think it was a good little tiff. It was something I didn't see much of. I know Pearl's probably going to clip it and put it on X all over. But that's all I really had planned for today. It was a bit more casual, a bit more entertaining than the normal streams would be, but more reaction. I'm not sure how it's going to sound on the podcast, but hopefully it'll be good. Again, just want to run back all of the other stuff previously from the beginning, which is I will be collabing with What in the World. Again, he's got a much bigger platform than me, so look forward to that. Possibly on Saturday. I got to get a call with him on Discord to get things set up. But looking how Sneako had his on Discord, I think I want to try this. I want to try this version instead. Instead of trying to do some like kind of Skype thing, I'm familiar with how the Discord one works, and that's what I'll do with that one. So thank you for tuning in. Anybody who did tune in, I appreciate it very much. Thank you. And I will probably see you, probably not this weekend. We'll probably tune back in on Monday. Again, River will be having another episode from an EMS or the police officer. We'll get check back up on him and see how he's doing in the academy. See if any of his opinions have changed on policing as a whole. But again, I appreciate anybody tuning in. Make sure to share the show, like it, subscribe, all that fancy stuff. We appreciate it. And hopefully this has been more accurate than offensive. But if it's been offensive, we did a good job. Peace out. Take care. And I will see you all after the weekend. Peace.